Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. How are you guys doing? So today we are going to be making a pencil skirt using this beautiful lace. So this is the lace I'm using to make the skirt, but to cut out, I'm going to be cutting out on the lining I'm going to be using for this skirt instead of cutting directly on this one because it's not going to be easy. So that's what we are going to be making. So I'm going to be cutting out on this, which is the lining, and I'm using a bridal satin. So let's get started with the tutorial. So firstly, you get out your material that you'll be using to cut out the front. So to get out the material you're going to be cutting out, you're going to be dividing your hip measurement divided by 2, and you're going to be adding extra so that by the time you are done cutting, it's going to be enough for you. So that is what I did. And the reason why I usually cut out before I place is because my table is on the wall. So if I place too much fabric here, it's not good. There's not going to be enough space to make my video. So let's get started with the tutorial. So firstly, you are going to be folding your fabric into 2, just like the way I've done here. So this fabric is folded here into 2, and make sure that your fabric is enough to take your full length. So the first thing to do is to draw a straight line here, which is going to be my starting line. So after drawing a straight line, you're going to be coming down by 9 inches, which is going to be your hip point. That is where you're going to be placing your hip measurement. So for me, the hip measurement I'm working with is 44. So 44 divided by 4 is going to be giving me 11. I'm going to be adding 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So this is 1.5 inches for my sewing allowance. So for the waist measurement, I'm working with is 33. So you divide 33 divided by 4. So I have 8.25. I'm going to be adding my sewing allowance, which is 1.5. So everything I'm having is around 9.75 here. So for the front part, I'm not going to be adding any darts because I don't need darts for the front. I'm going to be placing darts for the back. So the next thing to do is to measure from your starting line here. Measure 18 inches. So when you measure 18 inches, that is where you're going to be placing your nail measurement. So you can measure for that of your client, but if you do not, you can use 18 inches. 18 inches just works perfectly for almost all of my clients. So from my hip measurement here, which is 12.5, I'm going to be minusing 1, which is going to be giving me 11.5. So then this 11.5 here, that's what I'm going to be taking all down for the full length. So for the full length I'm working with 42. The person's measurement, full measurement is 58. So 58 minus a half length, which is 16, is going to give me 42. So I'm going to be marking out my 42 this way. So this is my 42. I'm going to be adding at least 1.5 inches. That is half inches for here. Oh, because I'm cutting it out on the lining. Now I'm using a lace material. The lace usually has this beautiful edge. So now I'm just going to be cutting out exactly 42. So when I'm working on the lace, I'm going to be adding the 1.5, which is the sewing allowance, so that by the time I'm done, this part is going to be a bit shorter than the original lace. So I'm just going to cut out my exact 42 here. So I did not add any allowance to the length. I'll be adding the allowance on the lace. So whatsoever it is I have around my knee measurement here, that is what I'm going to be taking all down. So I have 11.5 here. So I'm going to be taking my 11.5 also here. And I'm going to be connecting all of these lines into a straight line. So now I'm going to be cutting this out. So this is going to be for the front. So when I'm done cutting this one out for the front, I'm going to be placing this on the back pattern to cut out for the back also. This is it for the front, so I'm going to be cutting out for the back. So guys, now to cut out the back, you can see that I placed the front on the back pattern. I added 2 inches for my zipper allowance, and I'm just going to be tracing all of this out. So you open up your zipper allowance also. So since I'm working with lace, so I'm going to be placing this on the lace material and cut it out. So now after placing it on the lace fabric, you add your 1.5 inches at the edge of at the tip of the fabric, then you trace it out and just cut it. So you do the same for the front and for the back. Start sewing, what you are going to do is that, so this is the right side of the front fabric. So I'm not going to be adding any band to this. So this is the right side of the front fabric. So you are going to be placing the lining, which is the bridal we are using, right sides facing each other. So this is also the right side. So you place it on it this way. So you place it this way, then you sew up here. So it means that you finish the waistline. So you just place it up here and sew, then you sew all around this way. So you sew it all around this way. You sew it till you get to the down part of the fabric. Now before you finish sewing, make sure that this edge, that's the rough edge of the down part of the lining, you fold it into two with at least 0.5 inches, so that it's going to be neat by the time you're done. So the same thing I'm going to be doing for this front side is also what I'm going to be doing for the back. So guys, before you start sewing, make sure that you pin down your fabrics together. So this is the right side of my lace facing the right side of the lining, and I pin down every area of every part. And the reason is because the lace can be tricky, it can stretch at any time. So the trick is that by the time you are sewing, make sure that your footer is on the lining, so you are not sewing on this part, you are sewing on this part, so that by the time you are done, it's not going to stretch, because your lining does not stretch, it's the lace that stretches. So that is how you sew it. So now when you want to sew, you just start from this part, you sew it all round, sew all round, sew everything all round, then we turn. So that is just the trick of this. So let me go ahead and start sewing. So guys, I've gone ahead to turn it with the lining. So while I was doing that, when I was done, I ironed it out, and this is how it's looking very neat. So please, when you are doing your own, just exactly the way I explained, that's how you should do it. Then give it a good press, because you are working with lace, it can be tricky. So you can see this is the inner part of it, this is the outside part, so this is the inner part. So the next thing I did was that I placed the two back sides on each other, right sides facing each other. So that is what I did. Then the next thing I did was that I took in my zipper allowance. So now the difference between the normal way I take out my zipper allowance, because this is a skirt part, so I wanted to have a little bit of that curvy effect around the bum side. So what I did was that on that 18 inches that I measured for my knee length, so the first thing I did was I took in my normal zipper allowance, which was 1.5, but when I got to the 18 inches, I came in again extra by 1 inch. So it means that around this knee area, by the time you calculate, you'll be having around 2.5 inches. So I made it straight down, but from that point I curve it into the bum. So I hope you understand what I mean. So after taking in your zipper allowance, your normal zipper allowance, then on the 18 inches, that's the knee area, I went in by 1 inch, and I made that straight line going down. Then from here I curved it into the zipper allowance. So I hope you really understand what I just said. Then I'm going to be taking in my dart. So I remember when I was cutting, I think I did not add that allowance to the back. So now I'm just going to be taking in my dart allowance, because of, I had extra sewing allowance, so that should be enough for me, I pray so. So that is what I just did on the back. So now I'm taking this to the sewing machine, and I'm going to be sewing it this way. Just look at the way my hand is going. You notice it's not straight down, it's a bit curved. That's the 1 inches. Then and I wanted my slit to be around 21 inches. So I measured 21 inches from the down part here. I have around 22 inches here. So from this 22 inches is going to be my slit opening, and I'm just going to finish up the side. So let me take it to the sewing machine and do all of that, and come back and show you. So guys, after I was done turning let me repeat it. So guys, after I was done turning it with the lining, so you can see how neat it's looking. So the next thing I did was to take in my zipper allowance. So I used 1.5 inches. So I took my 1.5 inches straight down. But the only thing I did differently is, if you're looking at it, you notice that there's a bit of curve around this side. That is because on the 18 inches, that's the knee measurement, I went in by 1 inch, so that I'm just going to be giving my butt a my butt to be able to relax properly in the skirt. So that's why I came in by 1 inch. So I curved it back into the hip area and I went down with the 1 inch. So that is just the difference. And then I took in my dart. So that's what I did. So now I'm going to take it into the sewing machine and sew it this way. Just see the way my hand is going. Just follow the curve, and I'm going to be stopping around this side, which is my slit opening. So the rest of it is going to be my slit opening. So I'll take this to the sewing machine and do all of that and come back and show you. This is it after I was done. So you can see that I went ahead to iron it out. So you can see that this place is a bit wider than this place. So those are everything I was trying to explain the other time. So you give it a good press. So I've taken in my dart. So now the next thing to do is just to place the front on the back or the back on the front. So right sides facing each other. So that's what I'm going to do now. So this is the front part. So I don't like putting that in the front part of my skirt. That's because, especially when it's lace, it just has this funny way it looks. So that is why I'm not going to be adding it. So this is the front part. So you place the front on the back. So you try to arrange it properly. So please work with your pin, or work with your pin so that you don't make mistake. So I'm just going to be working with my pin now. I'm fixing it and arranging it properly. Then I'll take all of my measurements and take it in. So let me do that. So guys, I went ahead to place the front on the back, and I went ahead to pin everything down neatly. So you can see that everything is equal. Everything is equal around here. And I went ahead to take in my measurement. So you divide your waist measurement by 2, you place it. Your hip measurement by 2, you place it. Then around your 18 inches also, you place it, and all of that. So I'm just going to go ahead now and sew it down. Then I'm going to be fixing my zipper after I'm done. So that is just it for making your pencil skirt with lace material. So it's as easy as this. So when I'm done, I'm just going to show you the final look. So guys, thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope it was helpful. If it was, please give me a thumbs up, and I'm going to be seeing you in my next video, guys. Bye guys. So guys, you can see, so this is the finished look. So you can see how beautiful it looks. Everything is, the shape is out. So when you're ironing, use water at the edges, then you iron. So this is it. This is the back. So this is the back. You can see that everything is neat. This is the upper part, neat. So the slit opening, I'm just going to be using Emmy gum and gum it down. So that is it. And if you don't have Emmy gum, you can just stack it down. So guys, that is it. Thank you for watching. So I'm going to be uploading the top part of this. It's going to be about stay top and all of that. So that will be in the next tutorial. Thank you guys. Bye.